Welcome back to another episode of Positive Solutions for Life. I'm your host, Peggy Meyer, and today we're talking about boundaries, what they are, why they matter, and what happens when you set them. It's summer, and I've been spending a lot of time outside in my vegetable garden and my flower beds. So decided to use the analogy of a garden to help explain my thoughts on boundaries. So first, let's define boundaries. Boundaries are the personal limits you set to protect your time, your energy, your values, and your well being. These limits, which can be emotional, physical, or mental, define what a person is comfortable with and what they will and will not tolerate. Boundaries are essentially the lines we draw for ourselves, indicating where we end and others begin. And they guide how we interact and engage with others. Think of your life like a beautiful garden. You've spent time planting flowers, growing vegetables, maybe you even have a water feature with a place to sit and relax. You have made your garden a place of peace and joy. Your boundaries? They're the fence that protects that garden, keeping the weeds out and the pests out. Without a fence, your flowers get trampled, your vegetables get eaten, and your water feature is destroyed. Before long, the beauty and serenity you worked so hard to create is gone. The gate of your garden also deters some people from getting in. It's not about keeping everyone away. It's about deciding who gets to step inside your garden by letting in the people and experiences that help it thrive and keeping out those that don't. With a fence and gate, you decide when to open it and for whom, and how they can treat you once they're in the garden of your life. There are all sorts of elaborate fences and gates you can build to protect your garden that can complement the surroundings beautifully. But if you didn't have boundaries or a fence and a gate before, or at least not very good ones, the moment you build or strengthen your fence and gate, some people won't like it. Why not? Why will some people question or disagree with your boundaries and the beautiful fence and gate you put up? For many reasons, but here's a few top ones. First, boundaries challenge comfort zones. Maybe they were used to strolling into your garden whenever they wanted, picking flowers and vegetables without asking. Now you've got this fence and you've locked the gate. That's new for them. Your no can feel like rejection. They might think you don't value them anymore when you're really just protecting your roses or tomatoes or your water lilies or whatever else you have in your garden. Boundaries highlight differences in values. You may want your garden quiet on the weekends, but they're used to throwing parties in their gardens. Your fence feels like you're judging their lifestyle or what they do. There's this loss of control or access. Before they could just cut through your yard whenever they liked. Now they have to walk around this fence. They might feel a little bit of guilt or insecurity because your thriving, well-kept garden might make them notice the weeds in theirs. Or maybe in their family or culture that they grew up in, gardens were shared with everyone, no matter the owner's wishes. So a locked gate feels rude. But all this boils down to is change. This is something new, and many people don't like change. They resist change. They have to test change. They have to test you. It's kind of like when a storm hits. Heavy rain, strong wind will test your fence. When you put up new boundaries, expect resistance. Some people will weather the storm with you and respect your boundaries. Others will try to be the storm, testing or even ignoring your fence or your boundaries. So, how do you know when someone is the storm? When someone is testing you? Well, you probably already know, but here are a few warning signs that someone might be testing or ignoring your boundaries or your fence. Testers might pretend not to see the fence or the gate. and they just like climb over it and say something like, I didn't know I needed to knock, or I didn't know I needed permission to enter. Or testers might make jokes about your fence height. What's with the fortress? Who are you trying to keep out? You, maybe. They might compare your garden to others. Well, Mary doesn't have a fence. Or these testers might throw stones or verbal insults from outside when you say, no, you're not entering today. Or they might sit there and rattle the fence or the gate and yell, let me in, until you give in and open the gate. If you see these behaviors, it's a clue that you might need a stronger lock or a stronger backbone to hold your ground. When someone acts like an unforgiving storm, here's how to hold your ground respectfully. First, stay rooted in your why and your values. Remember why you planted this garden in the first place, what you are trying to grow here. You have worked too hard to let it be destroyed by someone else's opinion. Your values are the soil your garden grows in. If the soil is rich and healthy, your flowers thrive, and you know exactly what you want to protect, those beautiful flowers. Without good soil, boundaries become harder to keep because you're not sure what you're even protecting. What is even growing in your garden without good soil? You got to know your values. They are the foundation for how you live your life and the fertile soil that your garden thrives in. Use I statements. I've decided to keep my gate closed on Sundays to let my garden rest. And acknowledge without arguing. I understand you would like to visit today, but the gate stays closed. Clarify, don't defend. You don't have to defend your decision to build a fence and lock the gate. Keep your responses short and clear, using a calm and steady voice. A short explanation is enough. It's Sunday. My garden is resting. You don't need to draw a map of your garden's entire irrigation system and why you did it that way. Short explanation is enough. If they keep asking, repeat your boundary. The gate stays closed on Sundays. And finally, know when to walk away. Don't stand at the fence arguing with someone who's just determined to keep pushing your buttons until you give in. Just walk away. It takes two people to argue. Just walk away. Let them look a little crazy for yelling at your flowers or your vegetables. So boundaries are really self-respect and self-love. Every time you close that gate to protect your flowers, your vegetables, or your water lilies, you're saying yes to the health of your garden. Every time you set a boundary, you protect yourself. You are saying yes to what is important to you. And here's the irony. The right people will love you more for keeping your garden healthy because it's a beautiful place they enjoy visiting. They will love you more for setting boundaries. Boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They're about creating a safe, beautiful, thriving space where respect, trust, and authenticity can grow. If someone pounds on your gate or complains about your fence, it's often because they're not used to it. Over time, they'll either knock politely or stop coming. Either way, your garden remains protected, producing abundant fruit, vegetables, and flowers. So go out and plant a beautiful garden in the soil of your values, protecting it with clear boundaries and letting those in who will help you and your garden thrive.